This video is only going to take 10 minutes of your time, and I guarantee that you've probably already spent or will spend an hour on social media today, so you probably do have the time. But if you want to click out and go back to scrolling through social media and just draining your dopamine, then go ahead, do it by all means. I don't really care. But if you stick around till the end, you'll hear my humble opinion on what happens to your dopamine and the withdrawal symptoms that happen when you start eliminating things like Facebook, jacking off, or let's say like smoking weed. And by the way, if you're looking for great content, my content, on how to level up your life, then you came to the right place. It's supposed to be mostly for guys, but if you're a girl, you can hang out here too. It's okay with me. It's just that we're going to be talking about Pornhub and jacking off, which you might resonate with, you might not, but if you want to hang out here, that's cool with me. So I've been really experimenting with how many high dopamine activities I can eliminate from my life and still be able to function as a normal human being. And I'll tell you what, it's pretty hard, but I've managed to do it. I know I'm definitely more stressed. I also have a lack of focus. I feel slightly more agitated, short-tempered, all those things that come along with, quitting coffee, quitting social media. I'm also experimenting with semen retention, which is basically like no FAP, but like hard mode, because it's really hard when you have a significant other. But I'll get into that in another video. But I'll go over why it's so hard to quit these things because of dopamine, and why life just seems so boring after you quit these things. So the way that dopamine works is that it doesn't really care about the end result. It does, but it really doesn't. It only really cares about the onset, the coming up. So when you wake up, let's use coffee as an example. When you wake up, you get this kind of craving for coffee and your dopamine starts to rise. Your dopamine levels start to rise in your body. So let's say this is 6 a.m. when you wake up, and then over here is when you start to get that initial craving for coffee. And then you walk up to the coffee machine and it goes up a little bit more. Your dopamine levels start to climb. And then you start to put the coffee into the machine. And then over here you watch the machine start like pouring coffee into your cup. And then you put sugar into your coffee. And then you take the first sip of coffee here. And you get this massive dopamine rush. This is called the peak. You get a peak dopamine rush. And what happens after that? 2-3 more sips, boom, it starts coming back down. So that's essentially how dopamine works. It starts releasing dopamine until you get that thing, and then it just doesn't care anymore. So why is this important to know? Well, the more things you start adding into your life, the more dopamine you have in your system. So these bars start coming up higher and higher and higher and higher and higher until you're completely desensitized to things. And you're just like not really getting like this huge, massive dopamine rush because you're just overloaded with dopamine in general. Because there's only so much dopamine that your receptors can handle. And if it's all the way up here, if you're all the way high in dopamine all the time, then you never have this come down. And then you never are able to get a good feeling of dopamine, like a good rush of dopamine. It's always just an overload because the receptors, they can't handle that much. And you can keep making receptors, but how many receptors are you going to have? Anyway, I'm not like super into the science part of it. All I know is that you're overloading your dopamine system, and that's all that you need to know. So the way that dopamine works is basically it's predicting when good things happen. And your brain is willing to jump through hoops to get to that end result. Think about what drug addicts are willing to do to get their drug. They're willing to like rob their family in order to get drugs. And now speaking of family, I want to show you something else on the trusty tablet. So the next thing I want to illustrate here is why you quit in the first place. Because this is important to know, because if you don't know why, then you're never going to actually be able to quit cold turkey, and you're always going to end up falling back to your old habits. So you have to understand why. For me, the biggest reason why I quit coffee, why I quit all those things is because I figured out that I actually just want to have my attention on one thing. So let's say this is how most people's attention is. This circle represents attention. And most of the time, people, what they have inside their circle is like social media, and then they have like porn here, and then they have their, you know, friends, and they have family here and work and like all this stuff like Netflix, and your circle starts to get just, your circle doesn't have any space because you have like everything in here, like pizza every single day and everything, right? And now your attention is so spread out that you can't focus on even a single thing. Because this whole circle starts to overflow with shit because you have so much stuff just like overflowing and you can't even pay attention to one thing. And then the most important things in your life, like family, friends, work, all that stuff, it's all overloaded because like you have all these other things that you're paying attention to. But what happens if you just figure out what your most important things are in life? So that's what I did. I drew this circle and I was like, what are the most important things in my life? Okay, so I actually just divided into 3. I wrote family in 1, and then I wrote work, and then I wrote health. And that's it. So knowing this, knowing that these are the most important things in my life, why would I ever want to do all this stuff as well? Because there's so much here that I don't really care. I don't want to do all that stuff. I just want to do this, the good stuff. And you might think that I'm boring, right? Because that's all I do. But no, I think that you're boring. I think that you're boring because you are like trying to focus on so many different things at the same time. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here and I'm building amazing relationships with my family. I'm working really hard every single day and I'm loving what I'm doing because I'm creating. And then I'm focusing on my health, and which is something that I've been neglecting for so long, for my whole life. And I'm noticing now just how important it is to feel so much energy because of health. And then I can use my health to help with my family and my work. So that's what I did, is I created this like trifecta of amazing awesomeness to be able to just only do the things that are most important in my life. Does this mean I'm not going to watch Netflix? No, because part of family time might mean watching a movie, might mean watching a TV series with my wife. All these things. But I'm not going to indulge in all these other things, social media and porn, because they don't help with these things. So the moral of the story is you have to understand why you're quitting those things in the first place. And for me, it was a matter of attention. What am I putting my attention on? And that's why I quit. That's why I quit all those things, because I don't care anymore. I don't want to focus on that. I don't want to wake up in the morning and then feel like I need a coffee to be able to function. So that's why I stopped. And I don't want to plan my day around coffee. So that's why I stopped. And if I'm always constantly planning my day around coffee, then it's going to take away from these most important things in my life. By the way, I have a free video course that's coming out. It's going to be a 5-part video course on how to level up your life, and there's going to be tons of downloadable content on there as well. It's how to remove distractions, how to improve your nutrition so you're not always falling back into your old nutrition habits. But it's not easy. This is hard shit. But if you're interested in the hard shit, it's coming out May 15th, so stay tuned. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you know when it is available for you to access. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.